Oh, thanks, Corey, and thanks everyone for having me here today. It's truly an honor to be here, an absolute privilege. I'd like to start off by acknowledging that we are on the traditional territories of the Kwalin, Katzie, Matsqui, and Semiahmoo nations, and just very grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and play here, and the excellent relationship we have with all of the nations in this area. I'd like to thank the other candidates who have come out tonight, Andrew Mercier, who is running in the other Langley riding, and as well as Patrine Arnesen. I just wanted to say that, it's really just an honor to have the opportunity to run for re-election in the riding of Langley-Walnut Grove with the BC NDP. So thank you for having us here today, Corey.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being here. Would you want to use this time, any more time as your opening remarks? That was kind of kicked us off to a good
Absolutely.
start.
I just wanted to say that, the last 4 years have been a privilege serving in this area, and we've done so much work together. All of the people who live in this community, I've had the opportunity to get to know so many of you. I've had the opportunity to raise my 2 children here. I've been a farmer in this area for over 20 years. And I had the privilege of serving as a school trustee for 3 terms. And during that time period, became so passionate about public service in this area. It's actually a distinct pleasure to be able to give back to such a wonderful community. In the time that I've been here serving as MLA over the last 4 years, we've built over 3,000 new school spaces in our fast-growing community. We know that people want to move here, they want to raise their families here, but you need more infrastructure. We've seen the start of the freeway expansion. We have seen the addition, or the announcement of the addition of 300 new long-term care spaces, because we know that as our population is aging, we need to have all availability of all different levels of care. We have seen our nonprofits who deliver such vital services in our community receive funding through the growing, the nonprofit community fund. So it's been a great 4 years. We've done a lot of work.
Awesome. Well, thanks again very much for being here, and let's dive into our questions. So we've got 20 minutes for this portion, and Bernice will let us know when 2 minutes goes by, so maybe we can try to keep a rough plan on those questions. But this is your time for the discussion. So, and Bernice will be dinging us off as we go here. But the number one issue that we hear from our members, we just did a survey in June, is the cost of doing business. Obviously, we're businesses, but the cost of living, affordability that's top of mind. I think everyone here can feel the pressure of the increased cost of living, from gas to groceries to rent, having to stretch paychecks further. What do you want to do? What would you do as an MLA with 4 more years? What do you want to do to address the cost of living and help people with general affordability?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Corey. And yeah, up on the doorsteps and in the community, what I hear about is sort of 3 broad areas: cost of living, housing, healthcare, and in Langley, very much education. And it is a challenge. We've had over the last 4 years so many challenges that we've dealt with. We've come out of a pandemic. We've seen climate-related disasters. We have seen global inflation increase the pressure on families. And in the 4 years that I've served as MLA, we have worked to lower the cost of living for families through very sort of measurable steps. So for instance, with seniors, we've increased the SAFER rate. We have the renter's tax credit. We've seen the family benefit. We have worked to, build businesses in the community so that there's good paying jobs closer to home. We've seen ICBC rates go down dramatically for most drivers. Those very measurable steps are just a few of the examples we've taken. But what I know that our government is committed to doing is continuing to address individual families, lowering their costs through measurable steps, while continuing to grow the economy. Our economy in British Columbia is the top one per GDP in all of Canada, because people want to live and work here. So opening up, strengthening the economy, supporting families, those multifaceted approaches are what's going to allow families to feel the relief, because that problem is a global problem. But here in British Columbia, those steps are being taken, and we're starting to see the fruits of our labor in that area.
I want to pick up a little bit on that, because you mentioned obviously what you've done for people. Obviously, we represent businesses. So in our perspective, paid sick leave, a new stat holiday, the employer health tax, pay transparency legislation, BC Labour Code changes. There's been a lot of burden put on and taxes put on businesses by the provincial government. What can businesses expect from a re-elected NDP government? And how do you speak to the right balance between affordability measures for residents and people versus employers and job creators?
That's a fantastic question. And it is an interesting, it's a very wide, complicated area, but it's one of my most favorite conversations. I know we've talked about this quite a lot, Corey. Our government has an understanding that absolutely businesses need the environment to grow and to realize profits. And measures for individual folks that are paying their bills and they have to go to work, they need to be able to live too, or else you're going to have an employee shortage. What we have done is we recognize that really either taxes go up or you increase investment in the province, but one way or another, those expenses have to be paid. So we've worked with businesses. An example would be the BC Manufacturing Jobs Fund, over $7 million for businesses in the Lower Mainland alone. One of them is right here in Langley, Cloverdale Fuels, who received over $800,000 to adapt and repair equipment. And if you think about that business's support, they employ people who work there, but also all of the people that use Cloverdale Fuels yard to keep waste out of the dump and create value-added products. All of the people who use that yard are also employed. So looking at targeted investment for businesses to support the adoption of new technology, to expand, and also attract new businesses like the lithium-ion battery plant, $1 billion in Maple Ridge. When you encourage investment into the province, you increase the province's revenue. So looking at the full spectrum of how can you grow your economy while supporting people who go to work every day, growing the economy by incentivizing investment, and then further supporting businesses to adopt with new technology is sort of a multi-pronged approach that needs to be taken, in my opinion.
So mentioning Cloverdale Fuel or mentioning the ion battery, these are going to be jobs that require, a lot of them will require skills or reskilling. We're sitting here tonight at KPU. The workforce is changing and quickly. New skills are needed all the time. How will you as MLA and your party support education and skills training to ensure the people of Langley can access these new jobs? There's no point in creating a big new plant if the people in Langley can't work there.
Oh yeah, that's a really exciting question. I'm sure that my colleague and counterpart is sitting over there thinking, I wanted that question because Andrew had started a lot of that work with skilled trades. We've worked really closely with KPU. We are so fortunate to have the relationship we have with KPU. The programs with the workforce skilled trade tax credit up to $3,500 for a grant for acquiring skilled trades. All of the other programs and the recent commitments we've made to expanding the number of skilled trade job training opportunities are being, I can't remember the exact number, but it was tens of thousands of people who have come out and had the opportunity to upgrade their skills through these grant programs, allowing employers to be able to access a skilled employee in that area. We know that that was a problem for so many years, and that's why these programs were brought in, and there's a commitment to continue those into the future, because as you said, technology is rapidly changing, and the need for a skilled workforce is something that our government recognizes is absolutely essential.
Thanks for that. I want to move over into our housing and infrastructure category, and obviously Langley is the second fastest growing community in the province now, I believe, and much has been made of the province's new housing legislation and the restrictions or changes it puts in place for local governments. What role do you think local government should play in housing development, and how will you work with municipalities like the township to streamline development processes, overcome obstacles and challenges, and obtain buy-in to what your plan is?
Yeah, absolutely. Our housing is a top priority for our government. We have, through different programs like BC Builds and Housing Hub, we've seen the addition of over 1,000 new units in the township alone. The township of Langley put forward three projects for the recent BC Builds announcement that was made. providing attainable housing for people in our community. Municipalities play an essential role in this. I mean, when you look at they play a role in planning, they play a role in what that looks like, what offsets are like, ensuring that there's, the infrastructure needed in a growing community. And the partnership between the province through programs like BC Builds with councils who really are so excited about the opportunity to build housing that people can afford so they can live closer to their work is something that is really exciting. And seeing 1,000 new units coming to Langley is a significant investment.
Do you have any comment on how you balance, or what how you would want to see government balance this question of housing affordability versus equity? So obviously many people in the room here might be homeowners, and to make housing affordable, you have to bring the price down. Do you have any comment on how we balance between people who have their retirement savings in their home and the next generation that wants those homes to be cheaper?
Yeah, that's a great question, absolutely. When you look at, when I think about the question that you just asked, thinking about that equity, I think that's achieved through a variety of different housing opportunities. So, from apartments to small farms. Like, as a farmer myself, I'm on a few acres, and I know lots of people who, especially who have community jobs, they prefer something that would be like an apartment or a condo closer, say, to a freeway network. I think that you achieve that equity and opportunity through that OCP process that councils go through, building a range of housing to meet the different needs and stages that people have in their lives.
So this is housing and infrastructure, and your writing is cut through by one of the biggest pieces of infrastructure we have in Langley, which is Highway 1. Businesses and commuters, they're stuck in traffic on Highway 1 daily. That means workers can't get to their jobs on time, deliveries can't get to stores on time. We have stories where plumbers and HVAC technicians have to do fewer jobs during the day because they can't get to them all. What's your position on the Highway 1 expansion, and are you satisfied with how the project's been delivered so far?
That's a great question. I mean, the Highway 1 expansion, that has been a very long time that there had been a conversation about that, and the previous government had committed to expanding it, and it wasn't expanded. And then we started the expansion, and then we had challenges with the atmospheric river. In the middle of that, you had a pandemic. It was sort of all of the possible things that could happen as you were expanding the freeway happened. Given the breadth of circumstances that we were dealing with, I'm very impressed with the progress that's being made. But during that progress, you are going to see, a slowing of traffic, and it's frustrating. But I know that when the freeway is finished, it'll be nice for people to get to their home, to their families faster. But during construction, there is always that lull of and backup. And
there was just announcements for another 2-point-something billion for getting the highway out to the Mission connection, but both these projects are many years in the future. Do you have any comment on the infrastructure that your government's been putting in place and the timelines and budgets with them?
I mean, we know we've seen an increase in infrastructure project costs in line with other inflationary pressures. Infrastructure is essential, and it's unfortunate that there was a very long period of time where there wasn't any infrastructure investment. Previous governments just didn't. We are now catching up while also expanding, and although the projects are costly, and our government works diligently to ensure there's a wide range of different infrastructure opportunities. In addition to the freeway, you also have the SkyTrain. They're necessary investments so that people get home to their families, so that people can move goods around, so that businesses have the opportunity to participate in interprovincial trade, things that are vital. Our government is committed to putting in the infrastructure that people need in this province.
Great, thank you. I want to move into our community health and safety category. Langley, as I mentioned earlier, is the fastest growing community in Metro Vancouver, and I was doing a little bit of research ahead of this, and that comes with growing pains, particularly in healthcare, and I saw that Langley's got lower than the national average for hospital beds per population, and with the number of people moving to Langley, we're going to keep falling to less than 1 bed per 1,000 without further investment in the hospital. What would you do as MLA to fight for and address the healthcare needs in our community?
Oh, thank you for that question. And healthcare is essential. It's one of the core things that we need as a community. We need education, a robust education system. We need a healthcare system that works for people. And those investments have been taking place during the last 4 years. We've seen expansion of the emergency room. We have seen the expansion of the hospice. We have seen investments of imaging like MRIs, CTs. We've seen these investments going into a very fast-growing community. We recently announced 300 long-term care beds. These investments are absolutely essential, and we have seen provincially 800 more net doctors hired too. And it feels like it's not happening quickly, but these investments all add up to providing more infrastructure, health infrastructure in our community. We've also expanded the urgent primary care center into Langley. We will be expanding it in the new location up near the Walmart area to have longer hours and more space, more doctors. It's about having a wide range of services available. In the hospital, definitely is so important to invest in, but you also need to invest in matching people up with doctors so they can get that primary care at home. Having options for people to access an urgent primary care center for something that's urgent but doesn't need to go to the hospital. You need to have long-term care so that people who are not able to go home, they still need time to get better, aren't sitting in an emergency room where somebody else is trying to come in with a cardiac situation. So it's about the gamut of it. So when we've looked as MLA, in my role when I was MLA for Langley East, I would advocate for that full range after meeting with doctors and nurses and hearing what we need in our community, which is a wide range of care.
Thank you for that. You mentioned your history as a school trustee. Did you want to comment on, again, Langley, with the growth we're seeing in south of the Fraser? Surrey's had this problem or this challenge for since I went there, a generation of portables and challenges there. Do you want to comment on are you satisfied with your government's response to building schools, making sure that we have spots for students in Langley?
My favorite subject. Yes, absolutely. I'd like to comment on that. Thank you. So yeah, our school, I had the distinct honor of serving as a school trustee for 3 terms. My last term, I served as chair, and education is something that I'm so passionate about. And I remember sitting on the board for 16 years watching government fight with teachers instead of investing in the community, going to court instead of building the schools we needed to build, and ordering the sale of lands instead of planning ahead. In this time, in 7 years, we've seen 5,000 new spots in Langley, 3,000 in the last 4 years. We've seen new schools announced, a new middle, high school, multiple elementary schools. We've seen them open. We have seen not only new schools announced, but we've seen the expansion of new schools through modular construction. When you get a chance to drive by one of these schools, they're absolutely stunning, because we know that we don't just need more schools, we need more school space more quickly. We need it fast. So one of those comes on the land, and in 6 months it's open. So yeah, we have to have, education is vital to democracy. It's vital. And if you don't invest in it, you're really going to cause a heck of a problem for the generations coming up. And so yeah, I'm thrilled at what we're doing. Do we need to do more? Yeah, absolutely. This community's growing. But when you see the rate of construction here in Langley and you see those spots open up, oh, I'm just so excited.
Okay, thank you for that. We're galloping towards our time. We have time for a few more questions here. In your riding, this past weekend in your riding, there was a fatal shooting just off 200th Street, where both the shooter and the victim were known to police. Earlier this month, I'm sure we all saw the horrific knife attack in Vancouver, where the perpetrator had 60 recorded encounters with police. The criminal justice system is largely a provincial jurisdiction, so as MLA, how would you propose we get the handle on this type of crime?
Yeah, this is very challenging. We have intersecting crises here. There's the public safety component, and there's also the mental health component. We've seen an increase in people who are struggling with mental health crisis. And because of those challenges, once again, there is no one solution to that problem. You need to have access to mental health for people that need it. We have seen the opening of complex care beds in our communities because we know that when people can get better at home, closer to home in their communities, they have more success if they're able to be, treated and able to return to the community. We know that with public safety, we need to have options for people to get that help when you have competing challenges. We have added more opportunities for people to receive rehabilitation if they are addicted to drugs, so detox beds and rehabilitation options. We know also that, as you said, it's largely provincial, but there are criminal code provisions that are federal, of course. We are working with federal counterparts to find solutions to some of those challenges. So that work is taking place, getting people housed, we know is the first step to making opportunities for people to receive the care that they need. And we also know that mental health investment, when you talk about somebody with 60 repeat offenders, you look at that and you see that it's a complex challenge. There's usually a mental health component, there is an addiction component. Getting people the help they need in their community is definitely the answer to those really significantly entrenched people and those new mental health beds that have opened are going to be a significant portion in that multi-pronged plan.
Great, thanks for that. We've got 1 minute left in our 20-minute discussion here, and I want to kind of bring it back to where we started on the affordability and opportunity questions. And I was chatting with somebody, I guess last week, whose nephews are born and raised here and are off to Alberta, looking for opportunities there. Do you have anything, and because of housing, it's because of cost of living here, do you have a kind of closing remark on this last question about how do we make sure that Langley remains someplace that people can not just raise a family, but that family then wants to stay here and can continue being Langley residents? Yeah,
Langley is a great place to live. I mean, I know I'm grateful for the opportunity to raise my children here and farm in this community. And I know that you hear numbers like that sort of anecdotally, like people have moved out of the province. But when you look at the net migration numbers, more people are moving here. It's a desirable place to live. British Columbia has much better weather. I grew up in Ottawa, you sort of freeze to death in the dark. It's a nicer place, But affordability is definitely a challenge for families. And often they're looking at having to move to, a place because they're finding it hard to find an affordable house. The measures that we talked about at the beginning of our conversation, providing opportunities for attainable housing, providing, businesses opportunities where people can live closer to where they work, the opportunities that we have to attract people to come and invest in British Columbia. Really, all of those together are the steps that need to be taken to ensure that people are going to be able to live and raise their families here in Langley.
Great. Well, thank you very much. We do have 2 minutes now for closing remarks. If you wanted to wrap up anything or anything you wanted to add before we park for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned in my opening statement, it's been an absolute privilege serving as your MLA for the past 4 years in this community. The work that we've been able to do together as a community, investing in nonprofits like Langley Meals on Wheels, accessibility upgrades that have allowed them to and make the space more accessible for people that benefit from those that community space. Working to build more schools, bringing more healthcare options to Langley, bringing more housing options to Langley. That is the work that I'm so proud to have been able to work with you on it. One thing about Langley is our community is so involved, and seeing it grow is exciting, but also seeing that the core fundamental that we come together to achieve great things hasn't changed as our community grows. So thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. I'm asking for your support again this year on October 19th to have the privilege to serve you for another 4 years. And I encourage you, if you have any questions, to please never hesitate to reach out. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of the night, and thanks for the chance to answer these questions.
Thank you, Megan, very much. Nice to see you.